if you exist in the modern world, which you obviously do, you know this phenomenon. You watch something, a movie, a series, you listen to some music or something along those lines, and it ends and you kind of come back to your own world and ask yourself, be that consciously or subconsciously, where have I been? And this also applies to videos or to really any mass media. And in this video, I kind of want to talk about exactly this phenomenon. Where have I been? And how does it kind of relate to the world, or what is it? Is maybe the better question. So, of course, we kind of know the main kind of term when it comes to this phenomenon, and that is immersion. So this is kind of the buzzword. If you create, or the people who create movies and series, also so TV series, also video games, of course, they are all about immersion. You want to immerse, you want to have the viewer immersed in your movie, in the story, in this kind of stuff. Also, what kind of goes hand in hand with this, and this is kind of a weird point when I just say it now, but let me explain, is simulation. And you might think, well, what do you mean simulation? I mean, of course, a video game is kind of a simulation, but movies and series, like, what do you mean? Well, what I mean is that all of the stuff, all of mass media really, is simulated. The stuff you're watching, the stuff you're listening to is not really happening. It is a simulation in the sense of you are seeing that something is happening, but this something is simulated. It is not real. And we can go full meta on this. The video you're watching right now of me speaking about this stuff is, in a sense, a simulation, because it is not me actually speaking right now. It is a recording. And this recording is being played back to you through a loudspeaker. So, and you might say, well, this doesn't matter. I mean, this is kind of nitpicky stuff, but it really isn't. Because it also means, by way of all of this stuff being simulated, that it can be manipulated. That you do not have to, or, well, the creator of a, for example, movie or a video or whatever, does not have to adhere to the normal, we could say, laws of nature or of the world, or how things normally work. So, and this is very pronounced, for example, in all mass media, of course, but for example, in movies. So, movies do not have to, I mean, again, it's kind of weird to talk about this because all of this stuff is so highly related with each other. So all of these points relate so closely to each other that it's weird to try to kind of pick out one. And because all of this stuff is obvious, because there's so much stuff with which kind of relates to this. So, but again, my point here is that simulation is a necessary prerequisite for even being able to think about immersion. I mean, you cannot think, you can think about immersion in terms of like a play, for example. So in theater and stuff like this, yes, of course, but it's very difficult and it's very limited, but not so with mass media. So, but what does immersion kind of lead to? It leads to a separation from yourself. So if you're viewing something, if you're watching something, you are being separated from yourself. And you might say, well, why? Well, maybe you don't say this, but the question is why? Because your senses are occupied with other stuff. Your attention is somewhere else. And this attention is being directed by, well, the thing you're watching, the thing you're listening to. So right now, I am directing your attention in some sense. Of course, I'm not doing this actively, again, because this is a simulation. Because I'm not there, because right now, for me, in my reality, I'm sitting in my room and recording this in front of a microphone. So, and again, all of this stuff is obvious. If you might say, well, yeah, duh, of course, yeah, we know, everyone knows this, and yeah, everyone does know this, but I think no one is aware of it. So, separation from yourself. You are not in your world, but you are kind of getting dragged into another world. Again, this is very pronounced in all mass media. But I think movies and also video games, but also like series, so TV series, give a very good example of this because it's so obvious. So with video games, it's obvious. Your attention is not just in the game itself, in terms of like you're viewing something, you're watching something, but you're also acting in a simulated reality. So you kind of need to be separated from yourself, from your own life, to be able to take in all that the media, so the mass medium you're watching, or you're playing, or you're listening to be able to kind of take it all in. So your attention is just being so preoccupied, so completely immersed in the media that you cannot, like, there's nothing left for yourself. And again, we can discuss, like, there's a discussion to be had, I guess, when it comes to like theater, but yeah, that's kind of besides the point here. Because it's obvious that a play in theater is something very different than when we think about like a societal scale than like social media. All right. So yeah, this is pretty much what I just said. There's a continuous stimulus. There's a continuous visual stimulus and also a auditory stimulus. And if the stimulus kind of lets off, the viewer he may just be able to think about himself, about, wait, why am I watching this? Wait, why am I scrolling? What am I doing? I have stuff to do. I don't have time for this. This is stupid. And all the stuff. So if I stop talking, most people will click off this video because they get time to think and think, well, why am I watching this? This is stupid, etc. And this is, of course, the reason why everything is as fast-paced and kind of machine gun-like talking as it is nowadays on social media and in general, in every mass medium. So, and this is, of course, what you want to avoid if you want to maximize attention and if you want to maximize, well, numbers. So, but what for, you might think? What is this all for? What does the viewer take away from it? And now, if we think more, and again, this is something everyone knows, the reason why people watch videos, movies, etc., play video games, listen to music, is to feel good. Because it lets them feel good. Like, but what does this mean? So, I've written here temporary high, because, well, temporary, because a movie doesn't last forever, and a TV series doesn't either. And at the end of this temporary phase of the movie or whatever, you of course get what I have kind of anchored this at in the beginning. So this kind of, wait, where have I been? Wait, this is my life. This is myself. Okay. And this stuff. But high in a emotional sense. So there's, of course, excitement. There's maybe a kind of sense of power, sense of maybe also even purpose. And all, I could list out now all emotions, because this is not about like one particular brand of emotion, or well, not brand, but one particular direction, emotional direction. But this is, when we speak about like emotions that get evoked by some medium, it's about all of them. Of course, not all of them at the same time, obviously, and maybe not all of them in like one medium itself or one work or whatever. But it's not about that media always tries to let you feel good or whatever. It sometimes tries to evoke anger or hatred and stuff like this. I mean, again, this is something very, very obvious, I guess. It kind of depends on what you're watching. But my point here is that there's an emotional high, and that it is temporary. So, but what else? I mean, is there nothing else than a temporary high? And I would say, no, there isn't. The viewer, the listener, doesn't take anything away from most of the stuff he watches. Maybe sometimes there is some kind of maybe some kind of, if you're watching like self-improvement stuff, maybe some kind of hack or some kind of new thing that you take away. Or maybe there's a product the creator of the video or the movie or whatever wants you to buy. Or maybe there's some viewpoint that a movie tries to kind of lead you into about some social issue or whatever. But there's nothing that the viewer takes away for his own life, because the medium he's watching cannot relate to his own life. It cannot relate to him directly, because it is a mass medium. Obviously. Again, all of this stuff is so obvious that it's weird to talk about it, but if you think about it, it kind of all clicks together, but not in a good sense. Alright, so to conclude, there's nothing to take away from most of the stuff that's out there nowadays. You are not missing anything, is what I want to say. If anything, if the viewer, the listener does take away anything from any one medium he watches, then it is not because of the medium itself, but because it has provoked some kind of thought in him. And it is his thought, his own mind, which then leads to anything worthwhile. The same applies to this video. There's nothing I can kind of force on you. I can maybe tell you some thoughts I have, and maybe these resonate somewhere within you and lead you to think about these things and to think about, well, do I want this? Do I want to be emotionally manipulated permanently by watching and by listening to mass media? And when I say mass media, of course, do not mean, but I think that's clear. I do not mean the mainstream mass media, but to any kind of mass medium. So any medium, so a kind of transmitter of information that is built for masses, and that is really everything nowadays. So every kind of computer, or also every kind of movie, every kind of TV series, every kind of video game, every kind of radio podcast, every kind of music, really, you can just put on a loudspeaker. All of this is for the masses. It's for everyone, and thus for no one. I think I'll leave it at that. That's it. Have a nice day.